So, as I promised in my last video that I was gonna do a walkthrough on Jira, yeah, this video is gonna just explain a few things around Jira. So, today we're talking about a project management tool, which is Jira. So, Jira is one of the project management tool, one of the major tool that is used out there. In the last video, I mentioned about Trello, but Jira is one of the major tool that is used out there. It is really user-friendly and easy to pick it up. The reason for this video is because while working with different teams, I noticed that uh, new developers that come on board or just team members that come on board, they find it difficult to move things around Jira. So this video is if you are actually familiar with Jira or if you just want to learn something new, I mean, this video is for you. So a few things that we're going to be doing in this video is what we're going to create our epics. We're going to create stories. We're going to create tasks, subtasks. We're going to assign stories. We're going to start a sprint and we're going to close a sprint. So these are the few things that we are going to do in this video. And I'm just going to start with a quick walkthrough on the board. So as you can see my screen here, this is my Jira board. You see, I have already created this board. It's pretty simple to set up a Jira board. You can just sign on Jira and then it's going to just take you to something like this. Now, yours might looks different. This is just a premium version. You know, this is not a paid version. This is a trial version. The one you're using at your workplace might be a little different from this one, but they serve the same purpose. They serve the same purpose. Jira helps you to do what? Jira helps you to organize your work set. Jira helps you to align your team. Jira helps you to track. Jira helps for transparency. Yeah, you will notice that you get into an environment and then you start seeing work set coming from left and right. Maybe you even have user story from Excel sheet. You have some coming as email. You need to use Jira as the only source of truth, like direct everybody to the backlog. So that is what Jira does. It really helps you turn the chaos into calm in your workplace as a project manager. So as you see, we'll do a little walkthrough of the board. As I said, you see, I've already created my sprint. This is sprint 1, sprint 2, and so on and so forth. I can create another sprint, but we'll get there. Now, this is the backlog of this board. You click here, you see the backlog. Here is the summary. So this basically tells you what has been happening in this environment. Yeah, this summary tells you what has been happening in this environment for the last 7 days. You see 3 completed, 8 updated. These are stuff that has been happening. And then you have a dashboard here, total work item 8. You see done, in progress, to do. So the summary if you hit on the summary, it's just going to tell you what is going on in this board. And next, we come to the backlog. This is where you have all your work items, the user stories, the epics, the future, and so on and so forth. You look at the board itself. This is the board. You see the board is pretty empty. Yeah, to do, in progress. This is the workflow. Yeah, this is the workflow or the swim lane, as they call it. The backlog is pretty empty. There's nothing here. Calendar, boom. This is your calendar. It tells you when Spring 0 on 13, that's when it started. You see where this is when this task was being completed. Timeline, boom. This is the one that I like so much. You see the timeline here. So the timeline tells you how your work is moving. You know, it could be weekly, it could be monthly, it could be quarterly. So if you hit here, you're going to see quarterly, monthly, you're going to see here. So it depends on you on how you want to configure your board or on how you want to set up your board. Pages, the same thing. If you want to take some documentation, maybe you want to create a page just for rigs, like you see here, blank space, you want to like track your rigs, you can create it here. Product requirements, probably maybe new requirements are coming in, you can create this page. Decision, meeting notes. When you get into a meeting, maybe you want to take note, here you go, retrospective. This is something that happens all the time in Scrum. So you can create that page here. It's powerful. Jira, it's really powerful, guys. Jira is powerful. Form, same thing. This is a simple way to collect and track work request. Yeah, so there you go. Now, let's come back to the backlog. Let's come back to the backlog and start doing something really, really nice. This is the backlog. If you look here, you won't even see epics. So come right here. You see, come right here. You see all this drop down. Epic panel. Now, this is turned off. Let me turn it on. When I turn it on, you see what happens here. You see all the epics here. These are the epics that I created. So if you don't want to see the epic here, if you don't want the epic appear here, you can just turn this off and then those epics will completely disappear. But I want to see those epics. I want to be seeing those epics. And as I said, your onboard might look a little different, but it's the same thing. So let me start by adding epics. So we just want to add some few epics. Let's say what? Epic 1, you create that one. You say Epic 2, you create that one. Epic 3, you create that one. Epic 4, you create that one. So Epic 1, Epic 2, Epic 3, Epic 4. So these are epics that we have created. If you want to see details around the epic, if you hit here, you're going to see no work item, no start date, blah, blah, blah. So if you want to really track your timeline, it makes sense for you to add a start date when you guys are starting to work on that epic and an end date. This will help you really keep track of your work. And more action here, move top, move down, blah, blah, blah. So if you want to move the epic up, if you want to move it to the top, move it up, move it down, move it bottom, you hit here, you can do all those gymnastics. So these are epics. These are the epics that we have created here. These are the epics that we have created here. Clear filter. Now, we have created our epics, right? Let's go now and create our stories in the product backlog. Now, this is the backlog. Look at here, your backlog is empty. So we will create stories and then we will now assign the epics to the stories and then we're going to start the sprint or create a sprint. So let's create story. You just hit create there. Now, one thing that I want to mention, which is critically important, if you hover here, what are you seeing? You're seeing a future, but you don't want to create a future. You want to create a story. So click here, and then you change it to story. You can now say what? Story 1, do the same thing. Story 2, do the same thing. Story 3. Story 4. I'm just creating stories. Story 5. There is a way to create it at a go, but I don't want to go that route. Story 5. Story 5. Boom. Let's allow it here. Story 5. Now, these are the stories in the backlog. These are the stories in the backlog. I know this question always comes if it is the Scrum Master who has to create story, or it is the product owner, or is it the BAC. Guys, it doesn't really matter. As a project manager or as a Scrum Master, you can be tasked to do all these things. And of course, it makes sense to actually know how to do it so that you can really better guide your team. That's when you see something that doesn't make sense to you. So these stories here, these are stories that we have created 5 work items. This is line where in the backlog, the product backlog. Remember, there's a product backlog and there is a sprint backlog. Spring 1, we have how many stories in here? We have 3 stories in here. Now, I want to push some stories into Spring 1, Spring 0. So I want to push some stories into Spring 1. You see, when I click here, it's a move item. I can either move it to Spring 1 or I move it to Spring 2. This is another way to do it. Either I move it to Spring 1 or I move it to Spring 2. So now, let's move it to Spring 1. I hit, it goes up to Spring 1, to Spring 1. Now, this one is the same thing. I can either drag and drop, or I go the longer route. So let me just do drag and drop. So let me just do drag and drop. Bam. Spring 1. So this is how you can move stuff from your product backlog to your sprint backlog. Now I have moved what? Let me move this one again. Let's drag and drop, move towards sprint 1. Now let's move something into sprint 2. We can just drag and drop here. Drag and drop here. Move item to sprint 2. At times, let's move here. Let's see. Boom. There you go. So these are user stories that is being organized here. This is sprint 1. It has 6 work items. You can see it here. And this one has just 1 work item. And my product backlog has just 1 story. And it's completely good. Remember, we have created, if you look here, you won't see those epics. As I said, if you want to see the epic that we've created, you can come here and enable this, and boom, all those epic will pop up here. These are the epic that we have created. Now, to be able to assign these stories to the epic, there are a few ways that you can go about it. It's either you come here and then you can just, you see, when I hover here, you say add an epic. I can choose to add an epic. If I click here, what will happen? They will tell me which epic do I want to add. I want to add this epic, epic 2. Boom. You see that? That epic, this is epic 2. It's gonna just pop up here. Secondly, I want to add this epic. You see that epic 1 is gonna pop up here. Boom. You see this? So this is same thing, epic 3. You see this? Yeah, epic 3. So these are epics that we have added here. Let me open up this epic. Let me open up this epic, move up and down. There's something I want to do. I want to see if I can edit view details. I can edit the epic. So this was what epic 1. So I can edit this epic and change the name. So let me change this name, this epic 1 to what? I have account setting over there. So account setting, I can now have account login as epic 1. I have changed that epic name. If you come back here, if you X out here and you come back here, you close this board here, and then you open this up, take off filter. You see, this is what happened. You need to take off this filter. If you take off this filter, you see account login. I have modified that epic, account login. So you kind of have account setting, account login. Yeah. So you can modify any epic the way you want to do it. Maybe you generate an epic name and you don't like it and it doesn't make sense. You can always come here and change it. So let me do it again. Let me do it again. Let me go back here. Let's say we want to change this epic name, this epic 2. We want to change this epic 2. So what you need to do is what you hit here, you view details of the epic. It opens up here. And then you can click here and then you change the name of the epic. So we have account setting, we have account login. So let's put account locked. Yep, let's put account locked. Boom. There you go. There you go. You see, account locked. It changes. And then you see account login, account lock. Now, let's do another one. Show us the epic here, epic 3. This is the last one that I'm going to do. And what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to change the name of the epic to what? To account closure. So we're closing that account. We are closing that account. So this is now, if you look at the board now, if you look at this board, you're going to see this story. This is the story. This is the epic. 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 So you can actually modify this story as well. You might want to change this. You might want to change this to Let me just modify this and edit this. It's the same thing how to edit Epic. So let's say this one, the user story, it will create an account, bam. You see, create an account. You can do the same thing to this guy. Create an account. You can do the same thing to this guy. So now we have created our epic in the backlog. We have created our stories in the backlog, right? We created our stories. You can create a story here. We have moved our story into Spring. If you hit here, you see what? There's nothing here. Why? Because the spring has not started. We haven't started any spring. That's why you don't see anything here. So let's go back here. Let's go back here. Let's hit here again. You need to see, to do in progress, blah, blah. This is empty because we haven't started any spring. Let's go now and start our spring. Let's start our spring, guys. So start spring. You see, they say start spring. You might want to do a 1 week spring, a 2 week spring. I don't know. It all depends on you. And then you click here. Let's do what? This is 2 weeks. Let's do a 1 week spring. We do a 1 week spring. It starts this, blah, blah, blah. And here, now you want to state a spring goal. It's critically important so that everybody should be aligned to what you guys are working on. Boom, you start a spring. So you see, this is the board. You see how the board looks like. You have successfully started your spring. You see how the board looks like. Now, when you guys are working on this work item, you need to be pushing it. So let's say you are done with this task 3, and you can push it to what? To review. You can push it to review. This is to do in progress. You're just starting, the spring just starting, and then you can push it to what? In progress. Maybe this is already done. You can push it to done, and so on and so forth. And these swim lanes here, you can add as many. You can add in testing, you can add in testing. You can add and add and add and add. So this is how the board will definitely look like. If you want to go back to the backlog, you can hit here. You're going to see how the backlog looks like. And then you come back to the board. You're going to see how the board looks like. So this looks really, really good. Another thing that I want to mention, you have a new team member that joins your team, and you want to add that team member into this board. You want to invite him so that he can see what is happening in your Jira board. How do you do that? You need to come here. You see this more action. You hit here. Team members, software space, enterprise. You hit here. Let's see. No, not here. You hit here. Search and add a team member. Look at this. Link contributing team. Search and add a team member. For example, I want to add Dan. I want to add Dan. If Dan was part of my team, Dan will pop up here. Or I want to add, let me try to add my name. We won't find anything matching your search. That's okay. I want to add, let me try my email. I'm already part of this team. So let me see this.com. Okay, cool. So, but that is what will happen. That is what will happen. Add team that works in this space. So everyone knows who to go for help. So this is how you can add team members into your board. Now, let's check timeline and see what is happening. You see this? These are our epics. Spring has started. These are our epics. This is the timeline, spring 1 in November. If you want to do quarterly, you hit here, you're going to see October to December. Same thing here. So this is how stuff are moving. If you're going to see weekly, spring 1, it's going to cover from the 13 right to the 27. So this is what is going to happen. You see, 15 days, you see how it's moving? November this, November this. So this is how you look at this guy. Now, let's come back here. Let me do something. Another capability that Jira has is what? It's the filter. You see this filter? You can filter this by those that are assigned to, or you can filter by color if you've color coded all your user stories or all your epic. So let's hit here, filter. Where you hit here, they ask you, is it by assignee? Is it by spring? Is it by work type? Is it by labels? Maybe is it by status? So let's click assignee here. These are the two people that have work items in here. So if I hit here, anything that you see on the board will be the ones that are assigned to me. Clear this. If I hit here, you see it changes. Anything that is on the board are stuff that are assigned to me. You see, these are stuff that are assigned to me. Now, I need to clear the filter. I clear the filter, everything comes up. So if you have like 5, 6, 10 team members and you want to see what is assigned to who, the best way to go about it is to use a filter. Now, what can I show you guys again? So this is basically how Jira works. If you want to add a story point, this is where a story point will come. If you click here, this is where a story point will come. Let's add 2 here. That's a story point 2, meaning that this story is 2 story point. You can add same thing here. Maybe you want to add a 5. It's same thing. It takes you, this is 5. Same thing here, more action. Hit here, they're going to tell you copy link, add flag, add flag. Maybe the story is blocked and you want to flag the story. You can add a flag. Yeah, maybe the story is blocked and you want to add a flag. Optional, let your team know why this work item has been flagged. So you can just add here, blocked. Yep. Requirement not complete. You add a flag, confirm. You see, it's blocked here. So when anybody you see flag, it's blocked. When anybody click on this story, it's going to see the reason why the flag has already been added. This is really nice. Like maybe there is something you're working on and it needs urgent attention, really, really urgent attention. You can flag this. And then anybody that comes to the backlog will definitely know that there is something wrong here. Another thing that I want to mention, especially with Enterprise Jira, or when you're working in a bigger environment, there is a way that you can configure your Jira that will give you a notification when anything happens. They call it a simple service notification or something like that. So you can integrate it with your Jira. If somebody messes up with your work item in a backlog, you're going to get a notification. If somebody changes something, you're going to get a notification, and it's critically important. It helps you to keep an eye on what is happening in your backlog. Another thing that I want to mention, you want to create a sprint, you can create a sprint here. If you hit here, you can create a sprint, create a new sprint. You see sprint 3, so it creates automatically. You hit here, you create sprint 4 automatically. And come down here, more action, you can edit your sprint, delete, and so on and so forth. If you want to complete this sprint, you can force complete this sprint, complete this sprint. Now, we want to complete this sprint. Complete this sprint. They're not going to allow us because most of these things are still in to do. You cannot complete this sprint if you have not moved all these things to what to done. So let's go back here to the board. Let's refresh. Yeah, to the board. This is a free version, so at times back here. So that sprint has been completed. That sprint has been completed. You will need to start another sprint. You see, sprint 2. You can start sprint 2 here. Boom, boom. Yep, sprint 2 has already started. You see, this stuff has been flagged. So guys, this is all about Jira. This is how Jira operates. You see, this is your product backlog. This is your sprint backlog. If you want to see your epic that you've created, you enable this. You're going to see all your epics that you've created here. This is Jira. You can use a filter icon. And over here, you can, if you want to assign a story, let me show you. You can click here. You can click here. You see this, you can click here, you come down here, details, assignees already assigned, medium, maybe high, low, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So let me look for story that has not been assigned. This story has already been assigned. So this is all about Jira, and I don't know, maybe another thing that you want to see, you can mention and I can do a video on that. Summary, you see the total work item. it's 17. It tells you everything. Yep, this was a quick walkthrough in Jira, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you.